Hey everybody, Chris here for Cosmic Rage, and today we're going to go a little bit behind the scenes and I'm going to talk about how I got my start in animation and kind of what made me pursue that as a field that I wanted to be a part of. So, pretty much like every other kid, I grew up watching cartoons, but it wasn't until I got into high school and started really kind of looking at colleges and stuff like that that I kind of rediscovered animation and my love for the art form. And the show that really got it started was this show called Outlaw Star. And I remember working at a grocery store and going home late one night, and it was on Cartoon Network, and I was just kind of flipping through channels and stumbled across this fight scene between Gene and a pirate from the show, and a lot of the other characters that were on the same side as Gene were involved in the match, and it was really an interesting kind of choreographed fight scene. And I haven't really seen anything like that. Obviously when you're watching kids cartoons like Ninja Turtles and things like that, you're not going to see those more maybe adult themes and things like that. So that was really what kind of got me interested and kind of sparked something, right? Was this episode of Outlaw Star that I caught a glimpse of one night after work. So the next day when I was at school, I ended up going and talking to one of my friends, and I knew he was into more kind of art and film and things like that, and I was telling him about this thing that I saw online, these interesting characters and this choreographed fight and things like that, and space pirates. And he was telling me, he's like, "Oh, that's anime, right?" And I didn't know what anime was at the time, so yeah, we had this discussion about anime. He told me where I could go and buy it, and so I went to this store called On Cue. So yeah, how many of you guys remember what one of those are? But I went to the store called On Cue, and I ended up buying just like an Animerica magazine at the time to just kind of learn a little bit more about animation and kind of what this was, because I had no idea what it was. I didn't even know it wasn't even produced in the States, right? So so I took that home, I read it, and loved a lot of the visuals I had, and there's no way that that magazine covered as much stuff that is out there today with the internet and even just the amount of shows that we get now too. But anyways, one of the main cover story of this episode, or not this episode, the main cover story of this issue was on this movie called Akira. And so the next day I went to On Cue and ended up finding Akira there. And I picked that up and I took it home and I started watching it. And I got about halfway through the movie before I had to go to work that night. And I remember just being blown away by that the motorcycle chase at the beginning of the movie. And not seeing anything like that, not seeing, obviously the blood or the adult themes, but also just the level of depth and depth and artwork and stuff that was created just in like the first, few environmental shots and stuff of everybody moving around the city. So that night I got off work and I went home and I stayed up late and finished watching the movie. And I remember like the next day I went back and like I was using pretty much all the money I had at my job to just kind of find out more about what I could get my hands on and what everything was all about. So Ghost in the Shell, Perfect Blue, Ninja Scroll, Princess Mononoke, like those were all things that I was checking out and watching, and getting my hands on. And those are really like the only things that we could kind of have. The TV shows were, Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon, Gundam Wing, things like that. So just seeing the range of stories and artwork and, like I said, those adult themes in there really kind of perked my interest in animation and kind of shifted me towards going to school more for art as opposed to what I was originally thinking about going for at the time was teaching. So I knew in order to be a good teacher, I was going to have experience in the industry and things like that. So that's when I kind of made the decision to shift gears, and I started going to school for artwork and design and things like that before getting into animation and eventually shifting into motion graphics, which is what I do for work now. And Cosmic Rage is just kind of like an exploration of getting back to that storytelling of character development and things that I wanted to do with animation when I first started. Um, so yeah, so that kind of covers how I got into animation, and on a really kind of high level note. And of course, if you guys have questions or want to know more or anything like that, feel free to comment below, or even share your story too about how you got into animation and things like that, because there's so many shows out there that can just grab you and kind of just pull you in a different direction than what you ever, where you ever thought you might be going. So yes, I look forward to hearing your stories, and I look forward to sharing more of kind of the behind the scenes work that I've talked about, and can't wait to share some more with you.